Hey there, my name is Lexi, singer, songwriter, and audio engineer, and thank you so much for joining me for another video today. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what it's like handling confrontation with male clients as a female engineer. I feel like this is a topic that a lot of other female engineers can relate to, and I also think it'll give good insight as to what female engineers go through for people who may not know. So if you're interested in this topic, keep watching. I actually got the idea for this video from talking to one of my colleagues. He's another engineer who works at the studio with me, and somehow we got on the topic of clients that we don't like working with. And I was telling him about a client in particular. I'm not going to say their name, but they just always come in and they don't really know how to talk to women, and especially don't know how to talk to me. It's very frustrating because they also don't know how to communicate what they want to do in their session. So add that with not knowing how to speak to women. I'm a female engineer. It's just a very frustrating situation. But my friend was telling me how one time he didn't curse out the client, but he had to curse out some of the people that the client was with because they were just being really disrespectful and not treating him with respect. And I guess they were just causing issues in the session, even though they weren't the ones paying. So it was interesting to me to hear him say that he cursed out those guys. Now, they're not the client, but still being in the kind of environment that we're in the studio and close quarters, the engineer, we're by ourselves. Usually the client, especially if they're a rapper, they're bringing in an entourage. So when I heard him say that he cursed those guys out, it kind of made me go like, whoa, like, wow. And what happened? And he said, nothing happened. It was a regular session. They finished. The client who was paying ended up finishing the song, but he had to put those friends in place. But I say all that to say, I thought this would be a really good topic to discuss because I never even really thought about it myself. I just always kind of do it as far as how I interact with male clients. So in the music industry, I guess in the engineering aspect of it anyway, females and women were just not very well represented. There are a lot of ladies who are interested in engineering, of course, but there just aren't many of us actually doing it. So it is a very much male-dominated type of industry. So when people come into the studio and they see a female engineer, it's like a shock to them, like, oh, so I have to deal with that actually. That's a good point too. They're coming in and they're not expecting a female engineer, and they give me that question like, oh, you sure you know what you're doing? How long have you been doing this for? You fine with it? I love getting that question. It's so funny to me. You fine with it? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty good. And I know they would not ask a guy those same set of questions, but that's a whole nother struggle in itself. Going back to the whole culture of the studio, the music industry is very much male dominated. So being a female in the industry is hard in that sense. My clients are mostly guys, and they're mostly rap artists. The thing that's also frustrating is rap culture is not respectful towards women. And there seems to be this whole trend nowadays of rappers, my clients who come in, some of them, you can tell it's just like you see certain rappers on TV or on Breakfast Club interviews, and the kind of things they're talking about, it's not respectful towards women, but they got all this clout, they get all this attention. So they emulate what they see from these people who seem to be on, right? And so they take on that whole persona of, I don't have to be respectful towards women because it's not what rappers do anyway. So I have to deal with that. It's funny because it didn't take me a while to get used to the lyrics, but it's always interesting to see guys' reactions when they see a female engineer, they walk into the room and they kind of do that little pause like, is she going to be cool with what I'm about to say in this song? Because the lyrics, of course, they're degrading towards women. All the songs are about effing somebody, taking drugs, taking somebody B-word. So just that whole culture, it's really, it kind of makes for a bad environment, or not the most comfortable environment. Luckily, music is something that I love to do, so it hasn't shied me away from being in the industry and wanting to be part of the industry. But so think about those aspects. Being a female engineer in a male-dominated industry, and then having male clients who are mostly rappers, and then the culture of rap, it's not really respectful towards women. So you take those things into consideration, and now you have to look at the fact that when these rap clients come in, again, trying to keep with that persona of the rapper that is hot and mainstream these days, they come in with a little entourage, or they always got a group of friends. So because this is a male-dominated industry, most of my clients are guys. I'm usually the only female in the room, which used to make me uncomfortable, but not so much anymore. But I didn't even, going back to the conversation I had with my friend, as far as how I deal with male clients, I have to be a little bit more mindful of how I'm handling confrontation or conflict with these guys, because I'm the only girl in the room. They're not to say that they don't respect women, but the culture that they're a part of, the culture that we're in actually, is not conducive to ladies. And so things I have to think about, I can't just go off on a client. I can't just go off on his entourage just because they're being disrespectful. I'm the only girl in the room. It's usually the artist, and there's like 2 to 4 other people who are part of their entourage that are in the studio with them. And so it's not a good situation for me to be in by myself. So that's something I have to think about. I'm alone in this situation. I'm not protective. I have a taser, but I don't always carry it, which I need to do better at, honestly. And somebody suggested that I get a gun, but I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with that just yet. But it's just me, the engineer, by myself. It's me. It's very much me against them type of situation. So if I say anything out of turn, I'm a woman, which means biologically I'm already weaker than the guy. And then especially if his friends feel like he's justified, or whether the client is right or not, that client's friend is going to be more inclined to defend the client than they are to protect me. And unfortunately, it's really sad to say, but I don't feel protected as a Black woman. The whole culture of rap being disrespectful to women, what makes me think that any of these guys are going to stand up for me, whether their friend is right or wrong? That's just a sad reality of it. So the way that I approach conflict in a situation where there are all these guys in the room and I'm the only lady because I'm the female engineer, I have to very much tiptoe or be very mindful of how I say certain things, the things that I do say, and make sure that it's not going to come off in a rude way, because it could go very left for me. Going back to what I was saying, I very much have to be mindful of how I'm interacting. So luckily, and knock on wood. Oh wow, you didn't react to that? Wait. Wow, he is really asleep. I'm waiting for my dog to bark, but he didn't. But anyway, thankfully, I have not, there it goes. Thankfully, I haven't had to deal with many clients who are disrespectful. I don't even want to call them ratchet, but thankfully, I don't have many clients who are disrespectful. Most of my clients, all of my clients actually, are very respectful, and they're always mindful that they're speaking to me with respect. They're very much aware that the session cannot be done without me. So I'm thankful in that regard that the clients I do have are very respectful young men and women. So I haven't had to deal with this often, but maybe a couple weeks ago, I was in a session with a guy who not only gave me fake money, but he was also just very rude. And this is so annoying too. I could deal with the rude client if your content was good, but his lyrics were not good because he did not come prepared. He didn't have any lyrics written out. He was freestyling the whole thing. He had to keep punching in, literally doing like one bar, stop, play it for me, let me hear it. All right, play it again, fill in another line, stop, let me hear that. And it's literally just like going through, not even having a storyline, just having words, just finding words that rhyme together. like no storyline. They just want to make sure that the lyrics rhyme. That's it. There's no substance. So I could deal with a rude client who happens to be a dope artist. But what frustrates me as well is dealing with rude ass artists who don't even have really good content. They're not great at what they do yet. They just started rapping a few weeks to a few months ago and decided that this is something I want to do. Or not even that. This is kind of a little rant right now. They come in and they decided that they wanted to rap maybe 3 months ago, or maybe even 3 weeks ago. They decided that they want to be a rapper, and they saw some other mainstream big time rapper who seems like they freestyle everything and they really soak in what that rapper does and how that rapper delivers and what that rapper is talking about. So they come into the studio with that same kind of energy. So that's very frustrating for me when I already have to deal with artists who come in and they have that mentality that, oh, this rap ish is easy. This is all I got to do because so-and-so does it and he's mainstream. B-words love him, right? So that's annoying. So the client gets frustrated in those situations because they don't have anything written. And unfortunately, these clients also only book 1 hour sessions, which in my opinion, only if you're super experienced and you've practiced this song like 20 times before you came into the studio, that's the only time you can really utilize 1 hour. In my opinion, if you're kind of new at this, you should be doing at least 2 hours, especially if you haven't written a song. But the culture in the studio right now, at least in the studio I work out of, no one feels like they have to come in and prepare, or not enough of them feel like they have to come in and be prepared. So I'm frustrated with that, and I don't know how they feel, but I can only imagine how frustrating that is. You only have 1 hour, you're feeling rushed, you don't have any lyrics, so you got to hurry up and get something down. I understand the pressure in that aspect, but there's no need to speak to me disrespectfully because you did not come to your session prepared. How did I get on that rant? I don't know. But let me get back on topic. So you don't have your lyrics prepared, you're in here with a bunch of other people, and maybe that's what it is. You're in here trying to impress your entourage. You don't want to look stupid, so you want to make sure that you're trying to come up with lyrics quick because you want to look cool for them. And this is a whole nother conversation in itself. These rappers who come in and they bring their entourage and they want to impress their homies more than anybody else. So I don't know. Let me get back on track because I'm rambling. So they just decided they want to rap a few weeks ago. They're trying to impress their friends because their entourage is all around watching. And guys don't like to take direction from other guys, let alone from a woman. So imagine me being there having to tell them they're not experienced with recording and I have to tell them, you know, do this, do that. So I understand the pressure. On top of that, they only have a 1 hour session. They don't have any lyrics written. They're not prepared. So I can understand why that might be a high pressure situation if that person is worried about impressing whoever is around them at the time. And so this particular client, all of those variables came into play. All of those factors came into play in this session. And because he's so new at recording in the studio, he was not able to articulate what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. We're punching in every line. And then he tells me he wants to go back and do something. I'm like, all right, which part? That thing I just did. What does that mean? Do you remember what you said? I can go back to that part. And it just causes a lot of frustration because he doesn't know the lyrics that he said because he's freestyling the whole thing. And I don't really know what he's saying because honestly, I'm not paying attention that much. So yeah, it was just it's highly irritating for me, and it's probably a lot of pressure for that client trying to impress friends. So, and on top of not being able to articulate the changes he wanted to make, it was probably making his ego feel a little small. So this particular client, he was just speaking to me real short, and he wasn't speaking to me respectfully. He usually recorded with another engineer. That could have been a thing too. But he was recording with me that day because their usual engineer was not available. But he was just being really short, and I didn't like the way he was talking to me. Bottom line, I didn't like how he was talking to me. So it was not an enjoyable session for me. And I forget what happened, but it was just a lot of tension. Ooh, I can't say that because that would give away who he is. But it was just a lot of tension in the room, and I think I said something that trying to be joking, but also a little smart at the same time, admittedly. And then he said something back, and then his friend said, "Don't make comments like that. That's how people get stitches." And the room just got kind of tense from there. And it's like, oh, all right, I have to be careful, how I speak to these people, because it's not smart for me to be the only female in the room. I'm by myself because this is a late night session, so there are no coworkers there with me to help me if the situation goes bad. I have to be careful with how I'm saying things to these people because it could go really bad for me, and they're not going to protect me. They're going to protect their friend. They're used to speaking to women this way. They're not protective of women. And unfortunately, I don't feel protected as a Black woman all the time. So when I'm handling conflict, I have to think about, all right, can I joke with this person? Can I say certain things to this person and they not take it the wrong way? Can I give them direction without them feeling some type of way? Can I do it in a way that's going to make it so they're not feeling sensitive about their ego? Because it can be a lot of pressure. This is like your third time in the studio. You're recording in front of a girl. Who knows what kind of lyrics you're putting down. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of different things that could go into that, but I just have to be very mindful that I have to speak in a way that's smart, and I have to act in a way that's smart. Luckily, I'm pretty chill, so my energy is never giving off anything negative, or at least I try not to, unless you're trash and I don't like your lyrics and I don't like how you're talking to me. But anyway, yeah, I just have to be mindful. I can't pop off at the mouth because, a guy engineer, they can get up all in somebody's face and have a chance at fighting them. But me, I'm not fighting anybody. Okay. Especially when I'm feeling cute. It's just not ladylike. It's not something I want to do also. So not even going to the cute thing, but it's just not ladylike for me to be speaking to people any kind of way and for me to be acting any kind of way while I'm in the studio. I have to represent my brand. I have to represent the studio that I'm working for and just try to be as professional as possible. So that's really it for this video. I can't pop off the way a male counterpart would be able to in those situations because I have to protect myself and think about my safety. But all of that to say, I'm very fortunate to be able to work in a studio where I can choose whether or not I want to work with somebody. Because, all of us can do that, though. I should say I'm thankful to be in a work environment where I can choose the clients I interact with, because I know there are some jobs who do not allow that. The customer is always right no matter what, even if they're wrong. I'm so glad I'm not in a company, I'm not in a job that enforces something like that. Because no, people are wrong in the way that they speak to you. We want clients who are respectful. We want clients who are about their craft, who are in the studio because they want to get to work. And the only way we can do that is by respecting one another and working to get that common goal fulfilled of making some dope music. That's really all it is at the end of the day. But I'm really thankful that I'm in a company where I can choose who I work with. And if I don't want to work with somebody, I simply tell my boss or I pass it off to another engineer and I don't have to deal with it. But it's just a little insight into what female engineers go through and how we have to tread lightly when it comes to confrontation with male clients. This turned out to be a little longer than I expected. I really was not trying to go past 15 minutes, but I had to rant a little bit because this is something that I think many female engineers can relate to. And it's maybe something that's not talked about very often because there is such little representation of female engineers within the music industry. We are a growing force, but we're still pretty small compared to our male counterparts. But I feel like other female engineers can relate to this. And for anyone who didn't know that this is even a thing or has never even thought about it, because even for me, I didn't think about how I have to interact being a female until me and my friends started talking about you know, the fact that he could curse out this person in a session and it still be all good, no fights break out or nothing. And he felt completely comfortable doing that. Me being a female engineer, I'm just not comfortable doing that because I have a different set of rules that I have to play by, unfortunately. But yeah, so if anyone who didn't realize the kind of things female engineers go through, this is good insight for you as well. So I guess I would like to end the video with a couple of questions. If I have any female engineers following me, watching this video, if you could comment down below if you've ever had any experiences where you've either gotten into a confrontation or a conflict with a male client, or you've kind of had to bite your tongue because you realize, it's not the smartest time for me to say something. It's not the smartest time for me to snap because I'm a lady, I'm by myself, whatever the situation is. Comment down below what your experience has been. And also, do you think this is a valid concern to have as a female engineer? Do you feel protected in these environments? What's your experience being in the studio? And if you're not a female engineer, join in on the conversation too. Have you ever thought about how you have to interact with your clients versus your female counterpart if you are a male engineer? Or just have you ever had to deal with confrontation in general in the studio? It's a lot of broad questions, but I would love to hear about your experience. Thank you so much for watching this video and having this little chat with me. Again, my name is Lexi. If you like this topic and you want to see more things like it, give me a big thumbs up and also click that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified each and every time I post a new video. You can email me any questions or concerns. I'll leave my email in the description box down below. Comment any questions or future videos you'd like to see from me. And I think that's it for my little spiel. My name is Lexi. Peace. What you doing to him, Lex? What you doing to him? What you doing to him, Lex?